Why your best people quietly stop trying. Add a second person to a task and something strange happens. Both of them try less. Not because they decide to, not because they're lazy. They stop pulling as hard and they never feel it happen. A French engineer proved this in 1913. He wasn't studying people. He was studying a rope. His name was Max Ringelmann. He taught agricultural engineering, and his problem was a practical one. He wanted to know how to get the most work out of a farm, out of horses, out of oxen, out of men. How many hands to load? Efficiency, nothing more. So he ran an experiment that sounds almost too simple to matter. He had men pull on a rope. Attached to it was a device that measured exactly how much force they used. One man pulled alone. Ringelmann wrote down the number. Then he added a second man and a third, all the way up to 8. The math seemed obvious. One man pulls with a certain force, 2 should pull with twice that, 8 men, 8 times the force. The rope disagreed. 2 men produced only about 93% of what they'd manage alone, added together. 3 dropped to 85. And by 8, each man was pulling at less than half of his strength. Not the group, each man. The more people Ringelmann added, the less every single one of them pulled. The team got bigger and weaker at the same time. And the men couldn't feel it. Ask any one of them and he'd swear he strained with everything he had. He believed it. The rope knew otherwise. Ringelmann noted the result, published it, and moved on. He'd found a fact about ropes and men, so it sat, mostly ignored, for 60 years. The question it left behind was simple. Why? There were 2 possible answers. The first was coordination. People on a rope getting each other's way, timing slips, effort leaks out through the gaps. If that were true, it said nothing about the people, only about the rope. The second was harder to look at. Maybe they simply tried less. In 1979, 3 psychologists set out to separate the 2. Bibb Latane, Kipling Williams, and Stephen Harkins. Their study had a title that gave the whole thing away. Many hands make light the work. They threw out the rope and asked people to make noise. Shout as loud as you can, clap as hard as you can. Alone, a person was loud. In the group of 6, each one produced a fraction of the sound they made by themselves. Then they did something clever. They blindfolded people, put headphones on them playing the roar of a crowd, and told each one they were shouting alongside others. They weren't, exactly. In reality, each was alone. And they still got quieter, by roughly half. No one to coordinate with, no one to get in the way. The only thing that changed was a belief that the effort was shared. That alone cut it in half. They gave it a name, social loafing. For a long time, that name lived in a laboratory, a curiosity, something that happened to undergraduates pulling ropes and shouting into microphones. And the obvious objection was that real workplaces are different. People have careers there, reputations, salaries on the line. Surely that changes things. So researchers went looking for it inside real companies. In 1992, a management researcher named Jennifer George studied salespeople inside an actual organization, published it in the Academy of Management Journal, and found the same thing the rope had shown. People eased off in groups. And one factor predicted it all above the others. whether the person doing the work believed anyone above them could tell how hard they were pulling. The studies that followed kept letting on the same variable. A field study of 168 employees across 2 companies found it again. The less visible a person's individual work, the more it slipped. A review gathered dozens of these studies together and found the effect holds across countries and across all kinds of work. Pulling, shouting, thinking, deciding. It is one of the most reliable findings in the study of groups. And it was never talent, never personality, never motivation in any grand sense. It was visibility. When effort could be seen and traced to the person who spent it, it held. When it disappeared into the group, it drained away, quietly, and without anyone choosing it. Now, here's what almost everyone gets wrong about it. The easy reading is that this is about lazy people, that some workers coast and some carry, and the loafers are simply the weak ones finally exposed. Dead weight. We've all got the words for it. But that's not what any of the studies showed. The men who dropped to half strength were the same men who, moments earlier, pulled at full force alone. Nothing about them changed. Only the condition changed. Put a person where their effort is theirs and they give everything. Put the same person where the effort belongs to no one and it bleeds away. So it was never a flaw in the people. It was a response to being unseen. And being unseen is not something a person does to themselves. It's something the shape of the work does to them. The size of the group, the way effort is measured, whether anyone is close enough to tell one person's contribution from another's. Which means the loafing starts above the loafer. And there is a second finding, quieter and worse. In 1983, a psychologist named Kerr ran his own version of these experiments, and he watched what happened to the people who didn't loaf. The strong ones, the ones still pulling. When they realized someone beside them was coasting and collecting the same reward, they didn't hold the line. They pulled back too. Not out of laziness, out of something closer to refusal. They would rather the whole thing fail than be the only ones draining while someone else got carried. Kerr called it the sucker effect. Your best people quitting on purpose because the slack was allowed to go unseen. That is the part that should stay with anyone who has ever run a team. The person on your team who went quiet didn't get lazy. They got invisible. And the ones still pulling are watching right now how long you let it go unnoticed. The rope has been telling us this since 1913. It was never measuring the men. It was measuring whether anyone was paying attention.